Yeah. Cool.
All right. So you
All
were
right.
saying how
Yeah, I
to
could pick.
distinguish yourself from AI.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing right now is how do you distinguish yourself from AI? And you obviously have this like breadth of knowledge combined with the fact that like it's just not something that AI is going to be trained really well on. It has a hard time with just anything that's kind of ephemeral like this. And so you have the content right there. I think it's that what your challenge is going to be is making content for people and not for yourself.
Mm.
And that is such a struggle that at the end of the day, like I left Star City Games because I was like, I don't want to write Commander content anymore. I will write Commander when there's something interesting happening in Commander or there's something that I feel passionately about, but it's not something that I want to do every week. And that's what people wanted from me. And so it's going to be a lot of testing things out and going, where does my audience live and how do I bring them to me? I think I talked about it in my very first Mana Club that like comedians of comedy was all about these, alt comics going to these rooms and getting their audience as opposed to going to comedy clubs and getting comedy club audiences. And so really being able to start figuring out where are my people coming from. Like I think Reddit would be an amazing place for you to start. It's a smart community despite kind of the old hacky stuff that people say about Reddit. I'm generally a big proponent uh, of Reddit, but yeah, it's where are they coming from? Where can I have these discussions? Because a lot of what you write is going to be as important as what you record. So yeah, that would be a big place I would start. Uh, okay, so like when I think about like roadblocks, it's just big number one, not being consistent, then probably like not marketing it consistently or just expecting people to find it in this morass of content. Then it's probably like just focusing on the content that you think people will want. Also, I think the biggest thing with this is editing. If you want to have like a big long form discussion, great. I think people really struggle to self edit. And so I'm always going, okay, I'm going to cut this in half and then cut it in half again. And once I am at that like tweet level of a thought, this is as compact as it can be, then I can think about where I would re-expand it, right? I am a trash compactor that is going to get it into a nice little cube. And then I go, okay, where can I fit some personality back in this cube now that I've distilled this into the thought that it is? That it is an A, B, and sometimes that is a C. Um, and then it's just like, well, okay, now that I have that, I'm going to focus less on perfection and more just on like, this is what I believe. These are my core ideas. And this is the distillation of that. And then it's just having creating community, which is like the thing that I worked with like Lords of Limited on,
Hmm.
was how to to use a bad magic word, tribalize your fandom. How do you bring them in and have a shared language, a shared visual identity? How do you honor members of your community? How do you elevate people and recognition? These are all so important to building community. And I think that a lot of creators may nail one or two aspects of it, but they're really bad about treating it holistically.
Yeah, the Discord thing seems like a great way to build community. My buddy Will, who runs the Seattle Magic Friendship Club, that's the team that I joined,
Mm-hmm.
has been my model in this, and now I finally understand how to use Discord because I've just been sort of like invited in, and I see the cool things people are doing in the team, and I'm like, oh, okay, great. This is how, now there's a reason to learn this functionality. Um,
Totally. When Discord's such an easy way to nail so many of those things, it's a visual language in that you create your own, emotes. It is a visual hierarchy in creating roles within the community, giving people moderator status because they've been with you for so long. It's how you create shared language and terminology, inside jokes. Like, these are all such an important part that you can generate from one app that's entirely free. And when people Patreon gate their discords, I just go, no, don't do it. Absolutely don't do it. It's also one of those one-to-one communications where when people are in there, you control how often they see you. Sure, they can choose to like leave your channel or mute you, but um if somebody is a Discord user and you have a good Discord, they will be in there, and you are not dependent on an algorithm for them to see what you have to say. Trying to pull back as far as you can from algorithmic discovery is so important. I cannot stress how much I think that it's all going to be AI slop very, very soon.
Mm-hmm.
And B, if private sector AI continues on the trajectory it's at, how deeply convinced I am that we are going to reach some kind of singularity moment where all of this gets incredibly messy. So like, make what you care about, be passionate when you do it, and like embrace the most human aspects of yourself, because that is ultimately what is going to be so valuable in a few years.
All right, so let me run by, if you don't mind staying a few more minutes, a couple of quick hits. I'm really into building cubes. And, my value is a combination of like the competitive, like we want to create like a really interesting game where there's good contests and balance, but also like flavor and lore. And so I feel like I could contribute something where I'm like, I make an episode, I'm like, let's build a cube, and like, here's my theme. And my theme is, conjuring demons in this 15th century. And here's a little bit of the history, and sort of like we'll find cards that suit that, and then we'll look at the mechanics and then think about the mechanical aspect of thing. Could also do that building a commander deck, right? And sort of like, how can we balance the sort of competitive needs of making it a good game design and the sort of flavor and lore needs, and it's also like this is a casual thing, so like I'll build a budget deck.
Sure. I would package this as a piece of content for a third party that they pay you to create. And then I would find somebody that could sell them the cube. Like Manapool would be a company that I literally pitched on. You should work with content creators to create their own commander decks and then sell a branded commander deck. That's, I don't know who's a big commander person. I total brain rot right now, but like, if you had like the Spice 8 rack, commander deck that was like branded with like the face and everything. I love Spice having this capitalistic, but like, hey, part of it could go to charity, whatever. If somebody could go and just immediately when they were done, like, oh, that's cool, let me buy the budget version of this cube, the regular version, or the all foiled out version, and it just pulled that from the site, really cool. It's a value to them. They get content that's interesting. I think that would be like a big win-win. Otherwise, I feel like cube is just, it's such a space for other people to express their creativity that to do a longer form would be tough, when I feel like I don't even see a ton of traction from people that are already ingrained in cube, really good at creating the content, and have like entire events around it.
Yeah, that's another thing that I find you really valuable for, because you know the scene so well. Like, I don't even know what's out there. Can you name a few like cube creators I should be following?
Osman on Substack does a really cool review of like sets and cards and how they would fit into cubes and cubes broadly. I would also look at like anybody that's involved in KubeCon. KubeCon, everything is going to basically disseminate from there. I look at like the 100 Ornithopter Cube. I think it was 100 Ornithopter Cube, where all of a sudden that sparks and goes viral because it's part of this larger cube event. But I mean, honestly, I can't think of like a ton of people, and there's an incredibly passionate cube community. It's just, I am having a hard time being like, hey, you should look at a niche of a niche, which would be Magic, but then Limited, but then Cube. It's I think it's tough. I think LSV gets away with like the Vintage Cube videos because there's room for like a person, right? Paul Cheon tried to do Vintage Cube, couldn't make it. Had to go to arena drafts. Like that tells me how limited the amount of like breadth is in that room. Whereas when I look at like creating long form content around Magic and also Magic, then I go, oh, there are people that are starving for this that get a Ristic Studies video a month, and a lot of people that are trying to be bad Ristic Studies. So yeah, I look at it as like a function of how much space is there in a given fishbowl.
Say more about this hunger that's out there for, the viewers who want more like a religious studies, who might appreciate a, professor of religious studies who's into magic.
Yeah, right now there is a very consistent release cadence from Ristic Studies as a larger channel, but there also is a ton of design work that goes into it. I feel like it might be over designed in certain circumstances, and I think part of that is a function of doing the editing himself. I believe he still edits his own video,
Wow.
which is something that is a skill that he has built up over time and can execute a vision exactly how he wants it, which I certainly understand. I don't think that that's a great way to start. I would start with simple and work towards something like that. But I think if you asked him, he wouldn't push back on the idea that he is a perfectionist, and that you see some of that perfectionistic tendencies in the work. And so when you look at like one of the largest, Magic the Gathering YouTube channels, also largest Substack, I was number two, that the release cadence is what it is. I have to imagine that there are people that are like, I would also watch something that was similar to this. It's not just his secret sauce, if that makes sense. One of the big gaming brands also has a pretty good kind of historical series, but I think that people would be interested in something that's Magic, not about gameplay. So much of what is thrown at people nowadays is Magic gameplay, and I feel like it's been done to death. We can watch a million different people play Commander games. I don't care. I truly don't. And if I want to care, well, good. There's 50 videos for me. Whereas if there's a video that me as a Magic player could put on with my partner that's like in the same room, that's like kind of interesting, touches on concepts, but is more high level and doesn't involve, somebody evaluating whether an attack is good or not, that's something that we could just have on together. Like that's interesting to me. I think that's second screen content. That's evergreen in a way. Whereas a lot of this stuff, it just feels like a race to get your, video out for the latest Commander, or your look back at history, which is finite in this game. Like let's explore something that's more interesting, that's based in a game that is inherently interesting.
That's a great point. When I try and listen to limited content when I'm not like super up on the set, if I haven't done like 30 drafts, it's like what card did he just say again? And then it's like I've lost my place. I can't listen to this while doing the dishes or walking my dog. I have to be like sitting there with a notepad and just like super crunchy about it, right?
Totally. Which isn't fun. That's not a fun viewing experience.
You want to talk about Mana Club a little bit before I
I would
let you
love
go?
to, but I do have a hard out.
You got to get going.
I'm
Well,
so
Mana
sorry.
Club, let me just say, is such an inspiration. Check it out. Jake Browne, it's been a great pleasure. Where can we find you? Are you still Jake for Mayor on Twitter?
Jake for Mayor everywhere across platforms, coming to
Awesome.
a city hall near you.
This has been so helpful and so galvanizing, and I just think you're an awesome dude, and it's a pleasure to have your acquaintance.
I cannot wait to see what you make next. You fascinate me every time we talk, and I thank you so much because you make me turn my wheels just as hard.
Ah, that's all I could ask for. I wish you all the best, and yeah, talk soon.
Same.